Hey guys, it's Hayes with CheatSheetPros.com. Today is July 16th. It's Saturday morning, and I've got some plays that I want to give out today. I posted 3 in our chat group on Facebook last night, and they were all a two team, and a 3-team parlay. 2 of the 3 hit. One that was plus like 280, a plus 190-ish. And then we missed one for 1 unit, so we were up 4.5 units if you followed those last night. So these are the plays that I like today that I put in on the screenshot. So I'm going to run over these on the cheat sheet as well. But I also have 3 additional plays that I'm going to put in here for you that I like as well. So if you see this screenshot, this is kind of the quick glimpse when I get time to write everything up. And I post this on the website. I post it on Twitter. Make sure you follow us there. And then I post it in both Facebook groups and the Facebook chat. I usually post it in the Facebook chat before I get everything put together to post it everywhere else. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of these plays real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and start up top and just kind of work my way down and give you the bonus plays first. So last night in the chat, I couldn't believe the White Sox were a plus 120 dog. I was blown away. They ended up coming out and winning last night, so that was nice to see. That was one of the parlays we had, was the Chicago White Sox plus 120 and parlayed with the Dodgers. And it paid about plus 260, plus 280, somewhere in there. So that was a good hit. So the first game that jumped out at me today, but I didn't make my top 5 on the screenshot, is Cincinnati at St. Louis. So you can see here there's a big edge for Cincinnati at 9% on our model. But looking at this game, I really like St. Louis in this spot. So when we flip down here, the first thing I want to look at are just the last 10 power ranks. You can see the teams are, pretty equal, and then I'm going to look at the streaks. They're pretty equal for the most part. St. Louis isn't that big of a favorite, but Mikolas versus Lodolo, how do you pronounce that? We're just going to go with that, is a huge difference and a huge advantage for St. Louis, and St. Louis is at home, so I do like that as well. They also beat Cincinnati last night 7-3, so they've already got a win on their belt. One of the things I like to do is pull up something you can use, RotoWire, an optimizer, this is Cruncher, anything to look at the recent starts for the pitcher. And so I want to go ahead and just take a quick look at Mikolas. And so you can see here, he's coming off of a start at Philadelphia. He went 7.1 innings, only allowed 1 earned run. Prior to that, he went to at Atlanta, which I would say is one of the toughest starts. Went 6 innings, allowed 3 earned runs, and then 2, and then 1, 2, 0, 2. So he's been pretty decent. He's been doing really well. Now, Lodolo, or however we say his name, I don't know much about him. He's not someone that's been on my radar this year, but he's coming off those 5 innings, gave up 3 earned runs. He did go 4.2 innings against the Mets. That was a good start. And then he did face St. Louis here, so this is interesting. He allowed 1 earned run in 5.2 innings. So Lodolo's a little bit better than his stats show. Whenever there's a small amount of stats, it is hard to put on a pitcher. So he's got 24.1 innings, really high whip, so that worries me. He could get in trouble, but he does have a high K9 rate, and he's allowing a 297 batting average. But his BABIP here, let me make sure you can see that, is 406. That's astronomical. That will definitely come down. He's been very unlucky. So I do like St. Louis here. I'd probably go with the run line. I think the pitching matchup is better, but it's not one of my top 5 plays because it didn't make the screenshot, but that's one you can consider if you're doing a long shot parlay. The second bonus play that I like is New York Mets in the first game. Now you'll see over here on the screenshot, I have New York Mets game 2 with Scherzer. I like that one a lot. I do like the first game as well, but just not as much as I like the second game. So when we're looking at this, last 10 power rankings, there's a clear discrepancy, number 3 versus number 26. And then we've got Strowman versus Walker. This pitching matchup's a little bit closer than the one in the second game. In the second game, we got Drew Smiley and Max Scherzer. And Scherzer's been on fire, I think. Let me see, what did I put over here for his stats in that game? So let's see, Smiley, he allowed 4 earned runs in 2 innings in his last start at the Dodgers, and then he allowed 3 and 3 to Cincinnati and Pitt, who are very weak teams. Scherzer has only allowed 1, 0, 1, 1 earned runs across the last 5 starts. That's actually 4. And then his last 2 starts combined for 13 innings, 1 earned runs, and 20 strikeouts. So I like Scherzer a lot there, but I don't mind Mets in the first game either. I think the line's a little small. So Strowman and Walker, the 2 that we want to take a look at. So first, let's take a look at Strowman real quick. So when we take a look at him, we can see he went 4 scoreless innings against the Dodgers. That's really good. But then against St. Louis, he gave up 9 runs in 4 innings, so that's worrisome. And then he shut out the White Sox across 7. That's good. And then he gave up 2 to Cincy, 2 to Arizona, kind of mediocre start. So he's decent. 4 shutout innings against the Dodgers is impressive. You know, the Cardinals just got to him here, so I'd say he's a decent pitcher. He's not someone that I would, say, hey, this is like Patrick Corbin that's going to give up 1,000,000 runs. And then over here, we're taking a look. Walker, he's been a little bit better for me. 0-3, 0-3, 1-1. He had a 4 way back win, 2-2-0. So to me, he's more consistent. Yeah, giving up 3 earned runs to Cincinnati's rough, but it's only 4 hits. Miami got to him pretty good, but he shut Houston out in 7.1 innings, and he shut Miami out in 7 innings. So the pitching matchup is close, but I lean New York Mets here. Again, if you are going to bet a few games, I like him in the second game with Scherzer because I think that's a much better advantage. And then flipping down, the third bonus game is Pitt at Colorado. So one of the things I'm going to do here is I'm going to take Colorado and parlay it with the over. And the reason is when they're at home, they're just phenomenal. Look at the last 4 home games. They won 5-3, 10-6, 8-5, 13-2. I mean, they're just rolling. They feel good at home. They score a bunch of runs. So I don't trust them a whole lot because they are a sub-500 team. Actually, both of these teams are. But chances are it's going to go over and Colorado's going to win. So I'm going to do that just to make it plus money. I would rather risk 1 unit to win more than 1 unit than lay money to win less. That's not profitable in baseball. You can see here Colorado's won 4, Pittsburgh's lost 3. Going down here, we got Urena and Keller. Urena at home has a 3.6 ERA, 263 average, so that's not too bad for being in Coors. Keller, you can't really look at. He's given up a 280 average across the board, but pitching in Coors, I would want to go back if I was going to make a large wager and see, has he thrown in Coors before? What did he do? Both bullpens are terrible. We got 26th and 27th, and it's a Colorado game, so I do like the over, and I'm going to slap Colorado in there for a unit, and that's going to be one of my plays. Now, let me go ahead and run through the 5 plays and give you a little bit more detail on what I put on the sheet. So the first play is going to be Atlanta over Washington. So we don't have a percentage advantage here, but when you're looking at this, just look at these wins. They're 14-6 over the last 20, 7-3 over the last 10, but then you come over here, and does this give you any confidence with Washington looking at this? Look at this, loss. They did get 1 win, 3-2, but other than that, Washington's just getting killed right now. Last 10 power rankings, we have number 30 versus number 9, and these streaks are just completely opposite. 14-6 versus 5-15, 7-3 versus 1-9, 2 wins versus 8 losses in a row. Clearly, Atlanta's the better team, so I would just want to take a look at the pitching matchup. Over here in Atlanta, you can see we have 5 hitters that grade above 90. This is the red over here, which is really good. And outside of Soto and Bell, Washington doesn't really have anything right now. But when you look at the pitchers, you got Espino, whatever you say his name, and Max Fried. Fried is clearly the better pitcher and the number 3 bullpen versus Espino and the 23rd bullpen. Let's take a look at those real quick. So when I'm looking at him, he's only going 3 to 4 innings, has a couple 5, gives up 2, 4 earned runs. So in his last 3 starts, he's got 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 innings, and he's given up 10 earned runs. So don't really feel confident if you're going to back Washington. But you come over here to Maxey, and we've got 2, 0, 1, 2, 1. So his last 5 starts, he hasn't given up more than 2 earned runs. So I want to go look and see, who he's faced. So the Mets are decent. St. Louis is decent. Cincinnati sucks. Dodgers are good. San Francisco's So St. Louis, Mets, and Dodgers are pretty good. He gave up 1 and or 0-2 and 2 earned runs in those, so that's not too bad. I love a first 5 bet on Atlanta. I'm waiting for the line to post. I'm either going to do Atlanta run line or Atlanta first 5. That's one of my favorite plays. The good thing for Atlanta, wind should be blowing out at 6 miles an hour today, so that is a bonus. The second play we have on here, just look at this. Seattle is on fire right now. Looking at the streaks, they are 12-0. They got a 12-game win streak. They're 17-3 over the last 20, and then they're 4-6 over the last 10. And I love Texas, but not today. Texas is kind of up and down. They're struggling a little bit. And just our last 10 custom power rankings, if you don't want to dig into stats, we have number 1 versus number 24. That's something very easy to look at. So Seattle is clearly the better offensive team. So then we want to go down and we want to take a look at the pitching matchup. So Spencer Howard only has 15 innings, so I'm not going to go look at his game logs. But he's given up a 1.66 whip and a 3.24 average, which is astronomical. And then Logan Gilbert, he's a little better than average. He has 106 innings with a 2.8 ERA, allowing a 2.36 average in the number 2 bullpen behind him. So this is a clear advantage for Seattle. They're on a good win streak. They're hitting well right now. They're scoring lots of runs. They have a great bullpen and a decent pitcher going up against a weaker team that's struggling and a bad pitcher. So Seattle is one of the games that we do like. You could go parlay the money line or go run line. Run line you can get up to plus 120. But what worried me with that is this game they only won by 1. Then they only beat Washington by 1, by 2, by 1, by 1. So they have some games in here by 1 where they don't cover the run line. But you can see here they are 28-19 on the road on the run line. So pick your poison, whatever you think you want to do. So moving on down, we got Oakland at Houston. I mean, can this be anything else? Let's see what I put in the screenshot over here. One stat I found was that Houston is 22-8 after a loss, so they win 73.3% of the time. And then Coing over here has 18 innings pitched with a 6.38 ERA, allowing a 2.88 average. And then we got some other little details on there. So looking at this, it's pretty obvious. You know, you got to back Houston here. Verlander's on the mound. I mean, even the run line is, let's see, did I put that in there? Yeah, the run line's minus 160 for Atlanta. So I would mix and match that with another parlay. Maybe do Atlanta run line and Houston run line. That'd be a good one to get you over even money. Verlander, I mean, he's been elite, ERA of 2, and that's across 103.1 innings, allowing a 190 batting average, solid bullpen behind him. Then you come over here to Jared Koenig, weak bullpen, 6th worst in the MLB, ERA over 6, allowing a 288 average. We don't need to dig into the games. We know Verlander's a stud. Houston lost last night. I don't see him winning 2 in a row, so that is one of my second favorite plays I like today behind Atlanta. And then flipping down here, so we had Atlanta, Seattle, Houston, Mets game 2. That's the other one we want to take a look at. So Mets game 2. The reason I like this is we have number 3 versus number 26. In the first matchup, the pitching matchup's a little bit closer, but the Mets are clearly the better team, but I don't like the line that's on it. But for the second matchup, you can see here we have an advantage for the Mets. They opened this up really small. It was, I didn't put the spread in there. It's going to be about 120, 125, 130, and we have it closer to 160, so we'll see what that line looks like. Over here we have the Mets who've won 2 in a row. They're just over 500 in their last 10, last 20. But then the Cubs, they've lost 7 in a row, 2-8 over the last 10. You can take a look here. They've just been getting destroyed. Now the 4 losses against the Dodgers, I kind of throw those out because the Dodgers are a really good team. But losing to Baltimore twice and then 8-0 last night against the Mets, that kind of concerns me a little bit. And then the pitching matchup to me is just clearly different. We have Drew Smiley in the 17th bullpen versus Max Scherzer in the 6th best bullpen. So right now the Mets are just clearly a better team offensively. They have a huge pitching advantage in this. Scherzer's got a 2.15 ERA, allowing a 186 batting average and a .83 whip. That is just phenomenal. Smiley, he's around a 4 to 4.4, allowing a 275 average. And typically with these, I'm going to go back and look at the pitcher logs. I'm familiar with Max Scherzer. I don't need to. His last 2 games were Atlanta and Cincinnati. He went 7 innings, 1 earned run, 6 innings, no earned runs, 5.2, 1 run, 7 innings, 1 run. So his last 4 starts, he's only allowed 3 earned runs across 4 starts and has a massive amount of strikeouts. So he's on fire right now. And then let's go ahead and take a look at the other pitcher here, so Smiley. And Drew, he's a little less than average pitcher, but he's coming off of a start against a good Dodgers team where he gave up 4 earned runs in only 2 innings and then got pulled. Prior to that, he had 3 shutout innings against Milwaukee. That's not that impressive. He gave up 3 runs to a weak Cincinnati team and gave up 3 runs to a weak Pitt team. So I love a first 5 bet here. I think that's kind of locked in. That's one I would definitely consider when that line pumps out. And then the last game, we're going to go right back with the Dodgers. So on this one, you're going to have to lay, I was shocked it was only minus 195 on the money line. If you want to parlay that in, I think that's really good odds. Or you can get it down to minus 115, which is pretty much a straight wager on the run line. Here are our last 10 power rankings. We have number 5 versus number 22. You can see here the Angels are just getting absolutely destroyed. Over the last 20 games, they are 6-14 versus the Dodgers, who are 15-5. Last 10 games, they're going in opposite directions. Dodgers are 9-1 over the last 10. They're actually 10-1 over the last 11 that you can see here. And then Angels are 2-8 over the last 10. So clearly an advantage for the Dodgers. I can't believe this isn't minus 250 or minus 300. And then you come down here and you take a look at the pitching matchup, and that is probably why. So you have Suarez versus Urias. Urias has really good numbers, really good stats. Suarez does not. He's got some troublesome numbers to look at here. Bullpen, we got 20th versus 1st, so clearly we like the Dodgers. But let's go take a look at these 2 pitchers real quick before we wrap this up. So Jose Suarez, we're going to take a look at him. He just gave up 4 earned runs to Baltimore in only 3.2 innings, and then 2 runs in 4.2 innings at Houston. And then, some decent, had a 3 and a 4 and a couple. Well, the 0, I guess that was only 0.2 innings. We don't really count that. But he went to Seattle and went 4 shutout innings. But he's been struggling as of late, and he's prone to get beat up by really good teams. And then on the other side, Urias, he's coming off of a rough start. So the Cubs just tagged him for 5 runs in 2 innings, but he only gave up 3 hits. So this is a little worrisome here. So in this, when I'm looking at the stat line, he hit 2 batters. He did strike out 3 in 2 innings. That's good. But he hit 2 batters. He walked 1 and gave up 3 hits for 5 earned runs. So clearly something was wrong. But what I like about the Dodgers is they have the number 1 bullpen. So if he does get in trouble, they can pull him out. We had a game in the chat last week. The Dodgers were down 5-0 in the top of the 1st inning. And so I jumped in there and live bet him at like plus 250 or plus 300. And they came back and they were winning the game by the 3rd inning. So the Dodgers have plenty of firepower on the offensive side. And prior to that, that 1 start, he only allowed 1, 3, 1, 0, 2, and 1 earned run. So he's been really good for the most part. So I do like the Dodgers here. I would probably go with the run line and get it down to minus 115. But if you want to play it safe and mix it in, maybe do like an Atlanta, Houston, Dodgers straight parlay, that would probably give you something near even money. But those are the plays that I do like today. One of my favorite parlays is taking Houston, New York Mets game 2 in Atlanta. On here I posted Houston run line, Atlanta run line, and Mets game 2. The run line isn't posted yet, so I just parlayed it with the minus 225, and it still paid plus 296. So I thought that was pretty good because we get Verlander on the mound for Houston, and they have a 73% win percentage coming off of a loss with an elite pitcher on the mound. And then we get Scherzer in game 2 with a clear pitching matchup. And then we get Atlanta, who also has a big pitching matchup. So that's what I like for today, guys. Good luck.